Hello, dear friends, how are you? Russia invaded Afghanistan, tried to make it as a part of their country, but they failed miserably. Then came United States of America, but they didn't come alone. They came with the NATO forces. Maybe more than 20 countries participated in that war. They kept on fighting for 20 long years, but failed miserably, my dear friends and fellows. Now, after the departure of USA and the NATO forces from Afghanistan in 2021, Taliban have established their government over there, and approximately 4 years have been completed, are about to complete. After the completion of 4 years of Taliban government in Afghanistan, let's see that what is wrong and what is right, what are their challenges and what are their achievements. So to talk about the challenges first, as for the challenges are there in front of the Afghanistan government is concerned, the biggest problem, the biggest challenge of all, it is the return of the Afghan refugees from Pakistan and Iran. Pakistan was throwing them back, but then what happened? That Israel-Iran war, once it is ended, Iran is throwing them back altogether suddenly and abruptly and on war footings. They are throwing every Afghani out of their country, either legal or illegal, irrespective of all that. They're not going to tolerate even a single Afghani on the soil of Iran. So then, Pakistan, although they have halted their return to the Afghan refugees, but only after a short while, once the Iran has completely thrown them out, Pakistan will again restart the throwing back of Afghan refugees in Afghanistan. So that is the biggest ever challenge in front of the Afghan government, Afghan Taliban government. The second trouble with them is that international sanctions and lack of recognition. And because of this international sanctions and lack of recognition, they are unable to get the aid which they direly, desperately needed. They are unable to get the investment from the foreign countries. A negligible amount of foreign aid, a negligible amount of foreign investment is pouring in Afghanistan. So that is the second biggest challenge in front of the Taliban government. So in both of these cases, Afghan government is not to blame at all. The third thing, there it is the only thing where Afghan Taliban government is responsible, and that is actually that is the human rights in respect of women. Women are not allowed to get the higher education. They are not allowed to work. They are not allowed to move freely in Afghanistan without the company of their family member. So that is the biggest challenge. That is where the Afghan Taliban government is to blame. Now the next biggest challenge, the third biggest challenge, the fourth biggest challenge in front of the Afghan Taliban government. Here, Afghan Taliban government is not responsible for it, and it is the ethnic and regional tensions. Ethnic and regional tensions. What are these, by the way? There is a centralized government of Afghan Taliban in the Afghanistan, but many of the territories are against it. Why they are against it? Because there are certain tribal chiefs, there are certain warlords who want to collect the tax from there and who want the people from that area to obey them, and they want to be very powerful in that. Taliban government is not allowing them because the Taliban government is a centralized government, but these people want the control over their own area in certain areas, like the tribal chief, like the warlords. So that system is not going to be revived at all. So which remain as long as prior to the Taliban it was there in force. So that is another big challenge, and it is the fourth big challenge. The fifth and the last big challenge, it is the security threat, because there are central forces, there are certain forces like Islamic State of Khorasan province, like Daesh, So they people are not in coordination with the Taliban government. Rather, they want their own state over there. They want their own control over there. They too want to rule Afghanistan. So that is the trouble. I think in all those challenges, there is only one thing where Taliban government is totally responsible, and it is the women treatment. The ways the women should be allowed to get as much of the education as they want. Rather, the government should allocate the reasonably good amount of money for this purpose. And now, my dear friends and fellows, they should be allowed to work, they should be allowed to move freely. Now, after these challenges, there are certain achievements of the Taliban government in Afghanistan as well. First of all, they have totally eradicated the corruption. They have totally eradicated the corruption, and corruption does not exist there in Afghanistan. And then it is the opium cultivation. It is almost nil, or a very little amount of it, barely 5 to 10% of it. What the already was being done over there in Afghanistan. So it is extremely little, but still it is a challenge. It is a quite an achievement. So, my dear friends and fellows, now the Taliban Afghan government, they have brought the stability, and they have brought the stability in the currency, and their currency, the currency rate is very stable in Afghanistan, and also it is the revenue collection. They are very good, very effective, corruption free in the revenue collection as well. Now, infrastructure has been developed a lot. Infrastructure is fastly developing, like roads, like bridges, like connectivity network, etc., etc. It is the infrastructure which is developing a lot at a faster pace. Now, there is a improved healthcare and basic healthcare facilities, particularly in the deprived areas. So that is, I think, it is indeed a great work by the Taliban government in Afghanistan. And above all, it is the stability, it is the control. There is a stable central government in Afghanistan, and everybody living in Afghanistan. The rate of the government is very strong over there in Afghanistan, and rate of the government is very strong on the one hand, and it is a corruption-free society. The the government, the officials, they cannot dare to charge corruption. The rulers, they are very simple, very simple. They take much lesser from the national exchequer, but they are delivering. They have brought stability in Afghanistan. Now, Iran, Russia is the only country there in the world today who have recognized the Taliban government. Others need to follow.